Hey guys, and welcome back to another Absolutely Spirited video. My name is Layla, not Leela, not Lila, not Lola, not Delilah, and it's still not Leonard. I am back with another video for you guys, and I thought that I'd start a new segment called Absolutely Anecdotal, which is just my fun, creative way of doing story times. So instead of calling them story times, I'll call them Absolutely Anecdotals. So welcome to the first absolutely anecdotal story. And as you guys can tell by the title, I'm going to be discussing why I stopped drinking alcohol. But before we jump into the video, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to turn on your post notifications so you never miss an absolutely anecdotal story. So I thought before I get into why I stopped drinking, I should share how I started drinking, I guess, because it's not your typical I turned 21 and had a good time. I want to say I was about 13 years old when I got introduced to liquor. It was with this girl, well, at this girl's house that I was friends with, and her parents had liquor bottles upon liquor bottles upon liquor bottles. And we had a slumber party at her house with me and a few other girls. And of course, curious girls left up at 10, 11 o'clock at night, curious, like, you want to try some? And of course, peer pressure, trying to be cool, trying not to be the weirdo. I took a sip. So every time I went over to this girl's house, I would always have a sip of liquor if that was the vibe of the day, the night, or whenever I was over there. So fast forward till about my junior year, I started hanging out with a girl that I played volleyball with, and I would go over to her house. And I remember one night, me and another player had went over to this girl's house, and we played beer pong with Ciroc. That was the worst night of my life because I felt like I was dying. So it was the worst feeling ever. And I was like, why do people do this to themselves? But guess what I did? I did it to myself again and again and again like a dummy. Now my junior, senior year is full of parties, full of drinking, full of all of that. You know, you sip here, have your own drink here, somebody has an older sibling getting you liquor here, and I was just a product of my environment and element. So it was like everybody was doing it, so I was like, well, I gotta do it to be cool, I gotta do it just to be part of the in crowd. And it's like, I didn't have to do any of that. But of course, if I knew what I know now then, I wouldn't be making this video. And just to also throw out another thing, my parents did not drink coming up, so I did not grow up around liquor. Liquor was not readily accessible to my parents growing up, because I grew up in two separate households. So at my dad's house there was never any liquor, and at my mother's house there was never any liquor. And when I went to my grandmother's house, it was like, this is like for decoration liquor, if that makes sense. Like the liquor that collects dust, don't touch this, that type of liquor. I was drinking around people that, one, I shouldn't have been drinking around, and two, I shouldn't have been drinking so young. But that just goes to show the adult supervision that wasn't around. And of course, it wasn't my mother's fault, because I wasn't always truthful about certain things until after she picked me up from the function. It taught me a valuable lesson that choices have consequences. Then there was one isolated incident that I can remember where I had went to Miami for my 22nd birthday, I believe, and I got wasted. It was the most embarrassing thing in my life that I've ever experienced. Well, one of them. When I tell you my head was spinning, I ended up in the trunk of a car with these guys that we met going to that strip club. It was crazy. I almost got manhandled by security. Shout out to my actual friend at the time who, you know, was like, don't touch her like that, don't manhandle her, while my other friends was looking like, And, you know, it was no secret that I was a lightweight, but being carried out by security because I couldn't even stand and I couldn't get myself together was just not the image that I wanted to portray anymore. I didn't like it. You know, I was very embarrassed that, you know, this is what people equate to fun. Like, if you're messed up, you had a good night, you had fun. That, it was not a fun night for me. That was like treacherous and terrible. And although it happened, although in the moment, you know, I was like, yeah, woohoo, living it up, my birthday, we're in Miami. It's just like, looking back, that's something that I did and I can never take back, all for a night of fun. So let's get into why I actually stopped drinking. So the first thing was, I hated throwing up. Throwing up is literally the worst feeling when you're sick, when you have a stomach ache, when you have food poisoning. I hate throwing up with a passion. And because I have a medical condition that makes me throw up on my menstrual cycle, it was already worse because I had the chance of throwing up every month. Imagine exacerbating those numbers because you want to have a good time. It wasn't worth it. Don't want to be in the bathroom with somebody holding my hair, rubbing my back, saying it's going to be okay. And I'm praying to God, telling him, if you get me out of this, I'll never drink again, just to go ahead and do it the next weekend. Number two is being incapacitated. I do not like not having control over my body. I think that that is the most scary thing ever. It's the equivalent to like sleep paralysis, when you see the sleep demon in the corner of your room and you can't do anything. That's how it felt when I would get drunk or drink a lot of alcohol. It was not a good feeling. I do not like being incapacitated to where people are responsible for me. I feel like a burden. I feel like that is so disrespectful to the people's time and fun that they were looking to have because I can't hold my liquor or I surpassed my limits. Being incapacitated is not ladylike, it's not cute, it's not classy. I don't like being sloppy, so I stopped drinking. So the third reason I stopped drinking was because I did not want to be great. Not saying that people who are drunk or incapacitated deserve or made it easy or any of those things. People have bad intentions, and I did not want to make myself susceptible to somebody who had bad intentions that was probably looking to grape somebody or take advantage of somebody. Number 4, which is kind of in conjunction with number 3, which is being drugged. I don't know how my body would react to being drugged. I don't want to know how my body would react being drugged. I don't want to have to use the little cup covers and special straws and whatnot just to be able to indulge in something to make me feel good. If I have to go through all of those measures, then I just don't need to do it at all. And God forbid somebody drugs me with something and my body just has such an adverse reaction that I dropped it. Number 5, it's not good on the body or the mental. In terms of mental health. At the time when I was really consistently social drinking, I was hanging around a group of girls that had pooches and bellies. There's nothing wrong with a little, oomph in the front, but it wasn't natural. It was because of all the sugar being consumed every weekend. And it's just, you can't control where fat goes. And I would prefer it goes to my behind than to my stomach. So therefore, I just didn't like the effects that liquor had on people. And then coming to find out that all the beer bellies is really big because of beer and liquor, because liquor literally is sugar, I was okay. And it wasn't like I was missing out on anything. Like, I like having mental clarity. I like being able to wake up the next morning and know what I did the night before. I like being able to remember people I met the night before. I like being able to remember that I didn't do anything embarrassing or disgusting and, made a fool of myself, especially in today's time of social media where everybody records every little thing. Any fight, any belligerency, people record that. So I'm glad that I don't have to worry about that when I go out and have a good time. Number 6 is, it's literally poison. I don't want to have to feel good with poison. It's like microdosing yourself. Like, poison makes you feel weak. It makes you feel sick. And that's literally what liquor did for me. So I don't like making myself sick. I don't like feeling sick. I don't like being sick. So I'm not going to keep poisoning myself for a good time. It wasn't worth my sanity. It wasn't worth my health. Number 7, which also ties into number 6, is it's just not good for you. I get moderation and everything, but it's just not good for you. I wasn't really missing out on anything. It's not good for you. It literally does nothing but clouds your brain, makes you fat, and messes with your liver. Let me know how that's good for you again. And I like my liver. I just don't feel like drinking in moderation is beneficial to my health. So that's why I stopped drinking for that reason. And number 8, I stopped drinking because I feel like I should be able to have clean fun. I shouldn't have to rely on substances and drugs and whatnot to have fun with my friends, because a lot of the people I was hanging around heavily relied on liquor and other things to have a good time. Just let me know that this is not my crowd of people, because then I'm going to be annoyed being around a group of drunk people and they're going to be annoyed being around somebody who's sober. Like, sometimes my friends vibe with what I'm on. It's like, well, since I'm only hanging out with you and I don't want to do too much, I'll have a sober night with you. Cool. Not something that I ask. My friends know they can drink. They respect my boundaries, and they don't force me to drink. They don't try to persuade me. Other people that come over, hey, can I buy you a drink? Sorry, she doesn't drink. You can give me a water. And one thing that I just thought of, so I went out with a group of friends for New Year's. I had shared with them, like, I don't drink. One of my friends already knew, and she's always sticking up for me, like, she doesn't drink, she doesn't drink, she doesn't drink. But my other friend had asked, she was like, oh, like, you don't drink or you're sober? And I was just kind of like, what's the difference? And she was like, well, when you say you're sober, it kind of gives people that energy to like back off, like, oh, sober gives the connotation that I had a problem, which is why I don't say I'm sober, because I didn't have a problem with alcohol. I just made the conscious decision to pack it up and throw it in the trash. And you don't drink just means like, oh, you're just being bougie, or you're just being particular tonight, that you just want to be different or whatever. And it's like, no, I don't drink liquor. Whether I was sober, whether I was a social drinker or sometime drinker, the point is that I said no. And people need to learn to respect boundaries regardless if you're sober or you just say you don't drink. I really appreciated her providing that perspective, because now when I go out, guess what I say? I don't drink, because I don't need to say that I'm sober for somebody to respect my boundary that I no longer indulge in drinking liquor. My friends and my family have been very supportive of me not drinking, but The honorable mention reason why I stopped drinking as well, where I decided to cut it cold turkey, was to reach my gym goals faster. I'm not saying people that drink and go to the gym can't reach their goals, but for my personal fitness goals, I decided that giving up liquor entirely was going to benefit my fitness goal. That is one conscious decision that I'm very proud of. Me making better choices for myself should not affect anybody. So stay in your sandbox, I'll stay in mine. And this by no means is any shade to people who do drink and who do indulge in alcohol, because I have these conversations with people who drink that are my friends and stuff, and we have respectful dialogue about it. I respect their boundaries of drinking, and I don't try to push my beliefs or my changes onto them and vice versa. And so I really like that people take the approach of seeking to understand my journey and why I decided to embark on it and leaving liquor behind. So I afford people that same respect and not questioning why they choose to drink or why they decide to do this, because we all know why people drink. So it's something to indulge in. It's something that tastes good to some people, and people like the effects that it has on them. It's the same thing with Mary Jane. We've made it to the end of the video. Thank you guys for tuning in to my first Absolutely Anecdotal. I may or may not get a little bit more raunchy, a little bit more spicy, a little bit more, I'll think about it. See you guys in the next Absolutely Anecdotal. Bye.